Okay, well, welcome to episode
Are we live?
on air.
Oh God!
I know. Welcome to episode 144. Happy New Year!
Happy New
Our
Year!
New Year's episode.
New Year's up! New Year's up!
Um,
I noticed you're not wearing your glasses.
I put them on and I don't look that cute. Okay, I'll put them on for a sec.
Kate's got her glasses on and she's not even on camera.
If I wasn't on camera, I also wouldn't.
You should take them off. You look ridiculous.
I told you. We should just welcome to the table Alex's braces.
Yeah, welcome my braces. They're here.
We're starting the new year, new teeth.
New teeth for 2 years. We're starting the new year for 2 years like this, guys.
Wow.
Get used to it. I'm sorry if there's a little bit of a lisp this time. I'm still getting used to the railroad tracks that are in my mouth.
Honestly, I don't even know if we can do the whole episode with you in these glasses.
I can't.
I can't take it. I
also
can only
can't
see
do
one
it.
eye.
Yeah, I also just can only see out of one eye also.
Try to wear it as a necklace. Do I look cool?
But I've got like a nice little necklace, and if you're on audio, I think that we should point out the fact that I came dressed for New Year's.
Is this what you're gonna wear to your New Year's gala?
No, I don't think so. Maybe, depending on the comments, if people like it. if people fuck with the fit.
Comment below.
Comment below. Yeah. Is the fit? Am I dripping?
Yeah, should
ew.
Oh God, no, that's fine for her. That's fine. Dripping.
I can't say dripping.
Oh, okay.
That sounds ridiculous.
Okay.
But is the outfit nice?
Should he? You know what's funny is like by the time people say it,
yeah, I'll have.
you will. No, you'll see it. You'll see it in time to
Yeah.
change. You'll see it in time to change.
I got notifications on for these.
That's
comments.
true. That's true.
This app.
No one's ever been in the comments better than Alex.
Yeah, I'm committed. I'm there. And Sarah gave me shit for not dressing up for Christmas, but here she is looking like a Boy Scout.
I feel like I look extremely festive because my hair's done.
Your hair looks really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So like because I did my hair and I'm in one of those moods of like nothing can help me.
Right. Are you? Why?
I don't know. Sometimes you wake up and nothing will help you.
Oh, okay.
Like I can't pinpoint why I'm ugly today. I just know it's occurring.
Yeah.
Guys, we're having a bit of a chaotic day, a chaotic episode, and so like brace yourselves. You know,
Absolutely.
like buckle in.
We started off because I showed up with tater tots, and Sarah said that she has tater tots for lunch and dinner instead of French fries. And tater tots, in my opinion, are a breakfast food.
Yeah, let's argue. Tater tots are not a breakfast food. No one, that's like saying French fries are a breakfast food.
No, it's not.
What's a breakfast food? I'll tell you right here, right now, is a hash brown.
And a tater tot is the very close sibling of a hash brown.
No, a tater tot is, would you like fries or tater tots? And you say, I'd like French fries.
I don't know if I've ever been somewhere that has offered me fries or tater tots.
I've literally only been to restaurants that offer sweet potato fries, regular fries, and then tater tots. Those are the three options.
I think the tater tots are on there for children, possibly, because children like breakfast foods more. But
no.
I really don't think that. I don't think tater tots and French fries are equivalent. I think tater tots are like a small hash brown.
I understand that it's a potato.
Sarah,
and it's miniature.
I'm not sure if you're aware, but they're both made of potatoes.
So are French fries.
Freaking idiot.
You know, they're all part of the potato family.
Mm-hmm. And so are chips. But chips are definitely not a breakfast food.
Chips I eat all day, any day. There's no kind of like prerequisite about the time.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I love chips. But tater tots, I'm not saying it's inappropriate to eat them for breakfast. I'm just saying that other hash brownie type of things like actual hash browns are typical for a breakfast food.
Right.
Whereas tater tots can be eaten throughout the day.
Okay, sorry. Now we're moving the goalposts here.
I always like to do that to benefit my own argument. Yeah. So like, let's get to where it makes sense for me, and let's see if I can fuck this up for you.
So the tater tots, yeah, you know what? I'll agree with you. They can be eaten at any time of day.
Thank you. But French fries can't be eaten for breakfast.
No, they can't.
Okay, so I don't know if that was helping me or helping you. I'm not really sure what kind of...
I'm not sure who won here.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah.
But I think French fries can only be eaten for breakfast if you're having like, I'm having lunch for breakfast.
Okay,
like leftovers.
I'd like to bring in Kate to this argument, but only if she benefits, again, my argument.
Of course.
So Kate, if you do not agree with me, do not turn on your mic.
And she hasn't turned.
Oh, hey guys.
So
no, I'd like to add another perspective here.
Okay.
Because we weren't expecting a third perspective.
We need to establish that hash browns are the breakfast food for potatoes.
Yes.
When it comes to potatoes, it's hash browns, not tater tots. So I guess I am more aligned with Aline or with Sarah.
Whoa.
Hold on. Somebody in the comment section the other day said, I agree with Alina here, but it was me. And it was me and you. It was me and you. So it couldn't have been you or Alina. So it had to be me. And I was like, I feel bad for Alina if she's getting mistaken for Sarah. But like, this could not have gone better for me. I was like, wow.
So am I. But I'll agree. Hash browns are the breakfast potato.
Okay.
But at the same time, correct me if I'm wrong.
I will happily do so.
and I prefer you didn't. But I've had many a breakfast burrito pre-braces where...
That was pre-braces yesterday.
Yeah. Where tater tots are a key element.
French fries are in them. California burrito? You aren't from here, so you don't know.
Hold up. Hold up. Never said California burrito. I said breakfast burrito.
Okay, but California burritos are native to this land, and everyone knows that.
Don't shake your head and agree with her.
Kate, no.
That's not even what I was saying.
And again,
I wasn't saying a California burrito.
I don't even know what my point is here. I don't even know what I'm trying to say.
Because I was trying to say something.
I'm honestly just trying to argue with you.
Yeah.
What's our point?
Breakfast burritos have hash browns or tater tots in them.
Sometimes they have French fries, though.
What breakfast?
No, and sometimes they have potato cubes.
You know what you call a potato cube?
You don't call them hash browns. Hash browns are so different than cubed potatoes.
Okay. All right, wait a minute. So are you saying that the only hash brown is the McDonald's hash brown, the thin patty type? Because there are hash browns that are just the squares. There are hash browns where it's like shredded.
No. I see what you're saying. And honestly, like, we've gone down a path that we don't even need to go.
We may cut all this.
We now are, like, describing different styles of potato and, like, when you can eat them and saying what's in a breakfast burrito. Like, everyone knows, you know? And, again,
everyone knows that French fries are never in breakfast burritos.
No, people wouldn't agree.
All right, I need... If there's one person who can... seriously tell me they've had French fries in a breakfast burrito?
Hundreds of
in
millions.
a breakfast burrito. Labeled
this is California.
What is that?
I think if you were here long enough, you would know
oh my God.
that we do French fries in our breakfast burritos.
You just a moment ago were saying
what did I say?
French fries were not a breakfast food.
Okay, that's true, but we'll put anything in a burrito.
Oh my God. In a burrito, not a breakfast burrito. A California burrito, sure, for lunch might have French fries.
But you could order a California burrito for breakfast.
Okay, and I never said that you couldn't do that.
I think we need to cut this whole thing.
You're right. And we're back in.
Here we go.
Sarah and I just went on a tangent about breakfast potatoes.
So sorry, you guys.
Which was correct. We eventually landed on the conclusion that I was right, obviously.
Yeah, somehow we got there. It's so crazy.
We didn't. We just decided to give it up on it. And we're going to move on to...
Wait, you didn't do the thing that you're doing. Like, today we're talking about... So bring it down. Bring it down to the house.
Today, I'm sorry, this one's a little tougher because you wrote this list.
I honestly cannot rate... I don't have no idea what I said.
Okay, so this year we're talking about last year's AWSF, EV cars, people...
Okay, I'm going to do this.
We want to meet?
No.
Oh.
But
people we what?
You'll see when we get there.
Okay.
Static,
Ethan wife. What do you take? Is that? I'm sorry.
Seriously.
Okay, I thought that said fantasy.
How memory works.
Audience questions. We'll be answering some audience questions here. We had tater tots on there. We're not going to go there. And then this last one. I'm sorry, Kate. I believe you wrote that, and that says
nurseries.
Nurseries. Okay, thought that said herseries.
Or Hershey's. Or nurse series. Or her series.
Or herstory.
It just depends on how you want to put the pronunciation where.
Right.
For me, it could be anywhere.
Right.
So you guys, I was listening back to our episode last year for New Year's on the pod, and I was just trying to see, kind of get Alex is sipping his coffee. I was just trying to see kind of what happened in a year. Like, where were we last year? Like, how are we speaking to each other? What was on our minds for the year of 2024?
Right.
And it was so insane to watch because I do feel like in reality a year is kind of short, right? But it feels like maybe we've changed, I've changed. I felt very different watching it, which is weird because sometimes when you're an adult, you're like, I haven't really changed that much in a year.
Right.
But I felt watching back, I was like, I feel so different.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, and I don't even know why I'm even bringing this up, but I just felt like it's interesting to have a log of yourself
absolutely
that way and see yourself back a year later. And like we kind of get hits of that kind of social media. You kind of see photos like that, but I don't know. It felt different in my body seeing like video and like what we were talking about and how we were talking, and like what we were excited about for the new year.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's very strange looking back and like seeing what your resolutions were, or like seeing what you were interested in, or I don't know. It was weird.
I think part of the difference is that like when it comes to social media, looking back, it's like they're like either a video or a photo, and that's really it. This is like you talking and like perspective, and it's like you fully get an insight on what you were thinking and looking at versus like just like a snapshot of what you were doing at that time.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think also probably the difference for the podcast was I wasn't
No, I told
rambling
Alex.
to you.
No, I told Alex like hearing his voice off camera after having our like, you know, I don't know how long it's been, 8 weeks, 6 weeks of like conversations. It's so weird to hear you off camera.
Yeah.
It's very like, who is that person?
Yeah.
And I told Alex too, like the way Alina and I are speaking to each other seemed so much more a slower cadence.
Well, it definitely is.
And softer.
Yeah, 100%. Because you guys are both much more calm individuals.
You think I'm calm?
I think that when
Alina calms me down.
Yeah, I think that the two of you have a calming relationship, but it also heats up sometimes.
And I was also thinking in my mind, like you've done both of our maternity leaves,
right? Oh yeah.
So like, how is that different? Like, what you were with Alina,
right? And
then I was gone. And then now you're with me. Like, what does that dynamic feel like? How has it been for you? Tell me about your life, Alex.
I'm trying to think. I think it's funny because it feels like it's similar to what you felt with like looking at last year for AWSF. Like looking back when you were on maternity leave, that was last spring, right?
No, it was like a year, almost 2 years ago.
It was
not last one, but the last one.
That's what I mean. Not like this spring that we just went. The one before that.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like such a different person since then.
Right.
Like very much more so. And I feel like I was just like nervous to like make sure that like being on camera and just having a conversation, how it'd be received. And this time I think that I've taken more of like well, they're kind of stuck with me here. like this is kind of gonna
have to sit down with me.
Sit down with me. Like we can try other things, but for right now, this is kind of where we're at. So kind of feels like more like
freedom,
I guess.
Or just like anything could happen type.
Yeah.
Less guarded?
Yeah. I think I was probably more guarded then and just like concerned and nervous about it. And also I've got these sick new teeth that just make me so confident when I talk. And I'm hearing every single little thing like this.
I know, but it's kind of nice. It's kind of endearing for me.
Thanks. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, Alex is so sweet. I brought this up too because a couple things which I know you'll be excited about. Seeing ourselves back like that, it's an interesting human experience.
Yeah.
And I've talked a little bit how having a child kind of like makes you see time differently. Like you can measure it in a different way than when you're an adult. Time passes differently. And it's hard to kind of explain that situation until you're in it because of the general way that you see a baby grow quickly. Like when you are living in your own existence, you don't necessarily see yourself move time because you don't change as much as a baby does. But I've been thinking kind of, and this is because I live in the same place that I lived in middle school and in high school. I live in that same room. So imagine living in the room that you did when you were in 8th grade, that you did through your high school boyfriend, that you did in your 20s, and then live there with your husband and your child, and in the same neighborhood where your elementary school is, where the bus dropped you off for middle school, like where all your friends came over for high school. Like try to imagine having all memories kind of live in this house, which I think you have in a general way, but
not to the extent that you did. That's insane.
It's crazy
to think about, Sarah.
It's crazy. Like I pass my elementary school daily.
But even just the home aspect of it, like that house, there's literally like every stage, almost every stage of life for you.
I know
is involved in that shelter.
That bunker.
Like in that bunker. It's crazy.
Like that room has seen so many versions of myself. Yeah. And anyways, once becoming a parent, I kind of like had memories or had feelings of time that were different. And what I mean by that is Interstellar, I watched it.
Let's fucking go.
And so this relates to Interstellar in the way of obviously when Cooper, no, just real Cooper,
Coop,
yeah. Goes into the black hole and sees memories of them all existing in the same time. Like that's how
same
it
place,
feels. Same place. Sorry. That's how it feels to me about memories as a whole. And I think it's potentially like where I'm living or what's happening in my life. But like it feels like all time exists at once to me.
Right.
Like it feels like everything that's happened in my life is currently happening at that time and like existing there. And like when he like drops down and like is in that scenario, how like life exists in that room all the time, like simultaneously, like that existence occurs. Like that's how it feels in my brain. Walking around and experiencing life like now as a parent. Like I just feel like when I see that elementary school, like what I'm seeing is myself there currently.
Wow.
And like it's all like time feels different. And watching Interstellar made me think about time, and I was like, because it like kind of expands your brain in a way that you feel like, you know, like you can't understand. Like it makes you feel like there's more to this planet than our senses can pick up, right? So like sometimes when I'm walking through, I'm like, we can only perceive what we can with our senses. Like he's able to perceive time this whole new way because he's like in that experience. Like what can't we see? Like how is time passing for us? Like we measure time through this made up way of months in a year. Like how is time? Like if bringing it back to Interstellar, like when they landed on that planet with Matt Damon and he was like, the years here are like 300 and he said like 572 days or something like that. Whereas like what if our years were longer? How we see things, how we measure our time in this world, like how we even exist in our teens, in our 20s, in our 30s, what we think is like appropriate. Like all of this is measured by this fake thing of time that we've put all of our like marbles into. Like our experience of time like has been boggling my mind. And what would we do if we didn't have those constraints?
Right. No.
How would we live? How would we be if there was no years, ages?
Yeah.
Like what would our existence be like?
It is really interesting because it's like you said, it is this kind of thing that we've created of like, this is how we make benchmarks for ourselves.
Yeah,
like this age,
the benchmark.
This stuff, because it's how we can interpret things. And what if a year for us was 500 days instead of 365?
Exactly. Even that small thing that can totally change our experience of each age, like of each decade. I don't like what would be if it was different, because since we created it.
It's really interesting that you're feeling like you're when you go past the elementary school that like you feel. It's cool that you feel connected to like. Do you feel connected to like little you if you're like seeing like?
It's more of just like everything that has happened and will happen is currently happening. That's what it feels like in my mind. Like that, and it's always like goes back to like destination or everything's predetermined.
Right.
You know, it's.
Do you think everything's predetermined?
I don't think so. I don't like, not in the way of like this is going to happen.
Right.
But maybe in the sense of like you can shift yourself through. Like I do think like there's an essence of like of potentially predetermined, but because it's like I always feel now that way was always meant to be.
Right.
So like I think when you ground yourself in like this person was always made for me, like everything, it's kind of that invisible string theory that I was saying to Alina. Everything now feels tied to her.
Right.
Like my existence here feels like was meant to be tied to her. So like it's like that specific thing was always meant to be in my head. So yeah, I kind of go back and forth. Like she was always meant to be, but my road to her could have been my choice.
Right.
But like I was always going to land at this spot. So like maybe there are moments in people's lives that are going to happen.
Right.
And how they get there is up to them.
Interesting.
What do you think?
I feel kind of similarly. I feel like that there are like, it's tough. I haven't really thought about this in a while, but like I feel like there are things that like you feel like meant to do and stuff like that. Like you feel like, oh, I'm meant to do this. This is like what I'm like feel like is my purpose or whatever, drawn to and stuff like that. I think that there are plenty of people that don't end up following that feeling. I feel like you can avoid doing like you can. I don't want to say like destiny, but it's like what you feel like you should be doing. but you can't like there's free will and you can determine your own route. It just might be like you're not as happy doing something that you feel like you can go like your life. I feel like you have.
There's so many options.
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
all these strings.
Exactly.
Like
And
hundreds of routes. For
exactly.
you.
And I think that there's one string where you're like, oh man, like I followed the correct string. I did it exactly how I wanted to do it. Blah blah, like that kind of way. I think there's hundreds of different strings, and everybody has free will and agency to get there.
Yeah.
And like go down those strings. But I feel like there's one string that's like, this is your string. Like this is the string
you
that
can
you
have
should
this choice.
Yeah, exactly. There's this
you
string
make these
for you.
choices.
Yeah, you can get to this string if you really want it. If you like work for it. If it's like that kind of way.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of other strings that you may be happy in, all that kind of stuff, but may not be the exact string that you dreamed about or something like that. I don't know. It's strange.
It's interesting, becoming a parent and things having new meaning.
Yeah.
You know, like. It's hard to describe. It's hard to like describe life before and after.
Right. No, I bet. And not to go back to Interstellar.
No, please do.
But I will because I love it. And I think it's a New Year's Christmas movie.
Everyone should watch it.
Everyone should watch it. If you haven't yet, pause the pod, go watch it, come back. No, I'm just kidding. But
finish the episode.
Yeah. Finish and also like and subscribe and comment.
Yeah. Comment below.
Comment below. Comment here.
Comment here.
But the parent thing, it's like the line that he says, once you become a parent, like one thing becomes very clear, like you need to take care of them, like you need to make sure that everything's gonna be okay. Because she's like, couldn't you tell your kid that you're like your kids that you're going to save the world?
Yeah.
It's like, no,
they don't care.
No, you can't. It's like you can't say that to your child that you're leaving and you don't know when you're coming back.
Yeah.
If you're coming back and saying, hey, I'm gonna go save the world. You might be dying right now if I don't succeed in what I'm doing. Like he needs to take care of them. Like he needs to put them first. And there's like,
speaking of that, was he a good father?
He was a phenomenal. So it's so
pretty
tough.
Absentee.
Yeah, he's absentee, but like, oh my god, I've got like chills like thinking about it because honestly, I've never really thought like, in my opinion, he's a good father, but then at the same time, it's okay. It's very similar to what you're just talking about too. This is a thing that he feels destined to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he always felt like he was gonna be a pilot. This was his dream. This was his life goal. Mm-hmm. Then it gets taken away from him. He gets separated from it. He has to become a farmer.
Yep.
And this is a path that he feels a lot of fulfillment being a father to his kids, right?
Yep.
Like he feels great about it. But then there's this thing, this truly like unplaceable force that is saying, this is like, they chose me. Like when Michael Caine is like he tells Michael Caine when they're explaining the mission.
Yeah.
He's like, you were going anyway without me. Like you didn't even know I was alive. Like 2 days ago.
Yes.
And he's like, yeah, but they chose you, and now you're here. He's like, well, you were gonna go anyway.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're the best pilot we've ever had, and this team never left the simulator. Like this is. Something's calling you here.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is the correct decision here? Is he wrong for doing that? And like his wife's father is saying like, this world wasn't enough for you. And he's like, no, that's not what it is for me right now. He's like, the foundation of my choice here to do this, I feel like is strong. Like I'm not choosing this. It feels like I was chosen for this.
But isn't it interesting that when he's in that time warp, what he's telling himself, what he's screaming is stay?
Of course. Absolutely.
So like,
because that's what he really like. He wants that. Like he wants that.
He's like, don't go. He's like bawling, being like, don't leave them.
Oh my God. What a fucking scene.
It's crazy. Cause like in the end, he wish he had time with them.
Of course. And that's what he wants. Like he wants that time with them. And that's why I also think that my argument that he is a good father is because it's like the entire time his main priority is making sure he gets back home. He's constantly like where he's resource sharing based on a return trip. He's every decision making he's making about a return trip in mind. Like he's constantly thinking of it that way. And it's like it's this juggle of what do you prioritize, things that you feel like you aspire to and you want to do, or things that you also love and feel a lot of fulfillment like through.
It's such an interesting movie.
I fucking love that movie so much.
Do you have any notes
for the movie?
Because I have one note.
I actually, I want to hear your
I have a
first.
note.
Yeah. I watched it just so we can preemptively. I watched it 3 times in theaters when it came back here.
Everyone, I watched it in 2 parts at home.
No, you didn't. You watched it in 3 parts.
Oh, that's right. I did.
You
watch
watched
it
it in
parts.
3 parts.
That's right. That's right.
3 parts. Sarah watched it. Sarah watched it. The first thing, and this is where she paused.
Yeah.
She paused.
Remind me, because I kind of forget. Oh, that was such a good time.
No,
such a good time to pause.
You needed 5 more minutes. I begged and pleaded.
I was already asleep when I got those texts.
No, you were not, because you texted. I'm pausing right now, and I was this close to calling you. I was this close to calling
You're
you.
like, don't
and
do
being
it.
like, please go downstairs and watch the next 5 minutes. And you're like, Corbin's already asleep. I can't watch without him.
I can't watch it.
And I'm like, no, you need, because you'll understand. Sarah paused the movie right after they come up from Miller's planet. They just talked to the other person that was on the mission with them.
Yeah.
And
he's aged 28
He's aged
years.
23 years.
23 years.
And that's it. And the next scene is them receiving messages, 23 years worth of messages from their family.
They say that, but then he gets like 2 messages. I really could have used a lot more.
Well, because you get Timothée Chalamet's messages about how he's
die that it's Timothée
It's incredible.
Chalamet.
It's incredible. You know, he said that that's the best movie he's ever been in. He still says that.
Really?
And I agree. Like, he's been in a lot of fucking great movies. That's, I think, one of the best movies of all time. But regardless, like...
Okay, I paused at a part where you wanted me to cry.
Yeah, and then you resumed it. You didn't cry.
I didn't cry, no.
Of course not.
Okay, but I was trying to hold it together. But what I would like to say, 2 things, 2 notes. One, could you imagine being the guy that was left on the ship and you were by yourself for 23 years? Like, when that moment to me was so impactful.
Absolutely.
And so amazing at kind of helping me understand that time rift, or like time
100%.
I just was like sick thinking about somebody fucking being in space. They were barely gone.
Yeah.
And it just like hits you so hard of
When you
like,
see him.
this fucker was by himself.
And he's like, I took a couple naps, like, but I felt we were dreaming my life away because it's been 23 years.
He had no idea.
And it's so, what I've been thinking about this recently also when watching it. Like, when that happens and they come back, McConaughey's character just kind of walks right by him. Like, he kind of just like walks right through him because he's still frustrated with Anne Hathaway's character.
Yeah.
And seeing it from Romley's perspective,
Yeah.
this guy's been waiting for 2 decades
He
for you guys to
can't
come
believe
back.
there's people.
And he walks by, like, McConaughey's frustrated, and Anne Hathaway's brand is just in there like crying because she's like, it's hard to
Even
come to
process
terms,
this.
to process the time change and stuff like that. Oh God, it's such a good movie. I love that. And what's the second note?
My second note is...
I thought your notes were gonna be like critiques.
No, this is my note. This is my critique.
Okay.
He shouldn't have lived.
He shouldn't have lived?
No.
He should have died?
Yeah. It's too much of a happy ending. Like, he can't...
But it's not even that happy of an ending because his daughter is about to die.
He got to see her. It was fine.
It was fine. He missed her whole life.
Well, that was his choice.
He missed from 10 to like 82.
But he knew.
But he didn't know it was going to be that long.
Of course, but all our decisions have consequences.
That's fair. Yeah.
And like there was a 99.9% chance going to space in what they were doing. He was never going to make it back.
Mm-hmm. But love made sure that it was the one thing that
love
they could.
Conquers all.
Love conquers all. That's like part of the movie is like
but
love
don't you
conquering
think
all.
that like what we learn as adults is like love doesn't conquer all?
Right, but
it doesn't conquer black holes. I'll tell you that right now.
It does.
He can't be floating through space and be lucky enough by Saturn.
He's not lucky enough. It's these 5-dimensional beings that put him there. That put him back there.
He is the 5-dimensional being.
No, but he's not.
It's a future self.
It's a future like people that have that don't perceive and aren't in part of this world in the same way that humans are. So they put him there, but he still has to interact with himself to get him there.
But like, if he's in this existence of time doesn't exist, like how does he have enough oxygen to do?
He had just barely enough oxygen left.
I know.
It's all
measured by time.
It's all measured
by
just
this made up thing of time.
But like the stuff that's really interesting is like the black hole, like the way
him
that
like reaching out to touch Anne Hathaway's hand as they're going that way.
I love that.
I'm like, fuck.
But,
no, it's a magical movie.
And the way that they portray the black hole when the movie came out, then like 3 or 4 years later, the first image of a black hole was shown, and it looks like the way that they showed it. The circle with
they probably got stills from them.
No,
Alex.
but it's just like
we can't get a picture.
We can't
get a
not an
dude. I can
inside,
barely
but
get a
outside.
blurry picture on my iPhone.
It was a blurry picture of the black hole.
Yeah.
But so it's so
they're like, can somebody get access to those Interstellar files and blow something up for us?
Yeah, and blur the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
But
this kind of goes like, I feel like I've run all of my topics kind of into one because it's really just about time and the measurement of time going into this new year. And during this time, I also feel this sense of like sadness, thinking about all the people that we won't meet. And like that kind of gives me that feeling with the movie too. And like with the measurement of time, like, and I always think about this in a sense of like, I'm a Snoopy person, and like the idea that we don't even know the people on our street, like at all.
I know.
And that like like in my case, like we're living in the same actual home, like the design style, and like there's families in there, and we're existing in this life next to each other, and I don't know anything about you. And like I'm going on walks and I'm seeing people in cars, and like we're all experiencing life right now going into the new year, and I don't know you. I'll never know you. I'll never know your experience. And it's so weird to me, like how we end up meeting the people that are in our lives. And experiencing life along with them. Like it's I told that to Alina, like it's such a lucky, happy accident of the people that come into our lives. Like, does everyone feel that way about the people in their lives? And like, was I not meant to meet theirs? Like, you know, like, what are your Alinas? What are you, like, who are your people that you're just so grateful that I landed here on Earth and I'm existing in this time span, and these will also happen to be born in this time span, and I happen to meet Corbin, literally happenstance, and we created this person who then will meet her people, and I just like, my human brain cannot comprehend how we get the people we get, and why don't I get your people? And
to get to your people, both you and Corbin had to get that job. You both had to study.
It's insane.
You had to study things that would get you the job.
It's insane.
Whoever the HR person was that looked at your resume had to look at the resume and think, okay, let me just at least get him an interview. Like,
totally.
There's so many
things that had to happen for us to meet.
And back to Interstellar.
Exactly.
There's so many things that had to happen for him to go there, for them to make that all happen.
Yep.
So it's like, is there destiny? Like that,
I know.
Or is it preordained? He had to do that. He had to somehow get there to make it all happen. Like, none of it could have happened without. Like, if instead of going to see Matt Damon's planet, if instead they went to Edmund's planet, which is Anne Hathaway's like the person she was in love with.
Yeah.
If he was like, okay, let's go there, they wouldn't have gone in the black hole. They wouldn't have done all that. They would have set up there. He would have gone back home.
I know.
None of that would have worked out.
I know.
So it's all these things, like it is a brain fuck to be like, what, like, that's why like it's tough for me to be like, think like, are things predestined or not? Because like I could go out right now and I could walk in front of a bus and like I get hit by a bus and it's like,
I know. Was
that preordained? I just chose to do that. Like I don't think that's like that's,
it's crazy.
Like anything you can, like, there is absolutely free will. Like I feel like there's free will, but then there's also times where I'm like, but I feel drawn that like I need to do this. Like you feel so strongly about things and strongly about people where it's like I feel like there's something pulling me
in that direction.
Yeah.
It's also nice in life when you do have that pull, because I don't feel like that's.
Yeah, some people don't.
People don't feel that pull.
Yeah.
And like I think it's more common not to feel any pull.
Yeah.
Like just to be going through life.
Yeah.
That's my interpretation. Like I don't think a lot of people are like, you know what? I've always had this dream and I'm going to fulfill this dream. Like I don't think that's like, is it? I'm not sure. I think generally, I don't know.
It's really interesting to me talking to people. It's often usually about like career paths and stuff like that, where they're like, oh, like ever since I was a kid, I knew I wanted to be a doctor, and then like went to med school and all these things, and like almost like having them, like hearing them feel like they've never had any doubts about it. I'm like, wow, like that's nuts to have had this feeling, like what feels like so long ago.
Yeah.
And then just like sticking to it.
Yeah.
And not doubting it and not pulling back on it, because I question every other thing that I do.
Right.
It's nuts. It's nuts.
I thought you had glitter in your eye.
I do. I do have glitter in my eye.
Because I see glitter in your eyebrows, and I was like, wow, beautiful.
No,
you're really sparkling.
It's in my eye.
Close one and keep the other. How's that working?
Better.
I know, it's interesting. I think a lot of like New Year's stuff brings this up of like, what's the next year to come? And like, then you're like, well, is it decided? Like, you know, like you get, when you have perspective and you look back, things seem so much clearer.
Yeah.
And like, The same things seem like meant to be in a different way when you look back, but when you look ahead, you feel unsure.
Yeah.
Like when you can see perspective and when you can like, especially with struggle, right? Like I feel like I struggled so much the last 2 years. And like I can appreciate it so much now. And yet in the moment you're like, fuck this.
Yeah.
And like it's I don't know. I feel I enjoy looking back more than I like love looking forward. Like maybe I think forward thinking is like the unknown. Like I like the question, if you could see the end of your life, would you?
And now you're talking about another science fiction movie, Arrival, that I also just saw recently. Have you seen that one?
Love Arrival.
Yeah. And that one is crazy. That one is
I also agree. I think it is a crazy flick.
Is she like in Arrival, if you haven't seen it, the summary of it is that God, I'm blanking on the actress's name. Amy Adams. Amy Adams' character learns an alien language that allows her to see time in a different way, where she sees she sees the totality of her life, and she knows how things will go. And in that includes a daughter that she's yet to have getting an incurable disease and dying.
Yeah.
And she still moves forward with that decision to fall in love with the person that she sees, to have that child, to lose that child.
Yeah.
Would you continue to go through that? Would you continue
the outcome?
If you know the pain that's to come, would you make the same choices?
Yeah.
And it's wild. It's tough to do. Kate is hopping off of her seat to jump in here.
No, this actually makes me think of just jumping back to Interstellar. Yeah. Do you think Coop would have done it all again, knowing like exactly how it plays out?
Interesting question.
I think yes, because I think that part of him, like the reasoning behind it was that like he knew that this was bigger than him, and if he is told early on, it's like, hey, like you will sacrifice, but it will save everybody, then yes. But only because he does get to save his daughter and like him.
Yeah, that's like what Matt said. It's like it's all like do you see your kids, right? It's like, would you do these things for society, or will you do these things for your children?
Yeah.
Because that's like the bigger question, is like people won't do it for unnamed people.
Yeah.
But we'll do it for, the people that we get to have in our lives.
Yeah. And it going off what you said there, it is interesting. He mentions in like Matt Damon's character in that movie says like human empathy can reach to the people that we know and we love, but very rarely does that empathy extend beyond people that we see, beyond our circle. Can we empathize with people who we've never met, who we likely never will meet?
Yeah.
But can we care about their issues? And I think that's an important thing. Like, I think obviously caring about the people that are close to you is important, but I think that caring about the well-being of others as well, that is important, and that society, and caring about the upkeep of not just you and your family and your friends, but also the well-being of the society that you're a part of is important too.
Totally.
And I think that for that reason, I think that because he knows, if you were told at the beginning, hey, we didn't really choose you, we chose you and Murph, like you and Murph are going to save the human race.
Yeah.
I think like, okay, fuck yeah, like whatever you need me to do, I'll make sure that happens. Because it's so cool. Like that's what I love about that movie. Also, it's like.
So would you choose to see?
No, I don't want to see.
Kate?
No, I wouldn't either.
Yeah. I think that knowing what's to come would
determine what you do now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't want that. I want to at least whether or not it exists, I want the illusion or the reality that I have a choice in my life and where it's going and what happens.
I think too, as humans, I think we rely a lot on the illusion that we have control.
Yeah.
It like gets us through the day.
Yeah.
Like, and I think too, I bring that back to like when you're an adult and like when you have kids, you see the fragility of things more. Right? Like everything is so precious to you now. And like, thankfully as a kid, you don't feel that as much. Or I hope kids aren't like out there being like, I'm going to die. But like when you're a child, like, people do say like they just have no fear of like death. They have no idea of like mortality. It's like you need that as a kid to get through life.
Absolutely. Like, and I think that it is an issue because I think a lot more kids are struggling with anxiety and depression about the future because a lot of the stuff that they're seeing is very feels very doomer and negative about potential futures for them, whether it be if they'll ever be able to be like, this is much further than just like a regular child, but like whether it be, feeling safe in your school from violence, whether it be like having a planet that is still welcoming to human life
or aliens.
Yeah, or aliens, or like whether it be like economic stuff, whether it's like.
But don't you think too, it's like, again, like so much of this situation, I don't want to always say like everything falls on the parent, but like your kids should feel safe.
Oh, for sure.
In your house. Not even just like in your house, but like your job as a parent is to create safety for your kid.
Absolutely. And I agree with that. And I think that is important for the parents to provide for a child.
It's hard because it's like some people would say to me, like, okay, my example is like, people will show Waylon the phone. I'm like, don't show her the phone. Yeah. Like, I don't want her looking at screens. And then people will say like, oh, that's inevitable. She lives in this world. She'll inevitably look at screens. And I'm like, yeah, inevitably.
Yeah.
But like, that doesn't mean it starts today.
No, and I'm in complete agreement with you with that. I think that there's a lot.
I still remember the first time I watched the news and being scared.
Yeah.
I still remember being like, Emily Smart is kidnapped. Like, I'm going to be kidnapped. Like, I still remember like those feelings of like, seeing something too soon. Like,
yeah. Oh, 100%.
Kids shouldn't see, I shouldn't say shouldn't. I'm deciding that she shouldn't see a screen right now.
Yeah. No,
and like, even though she lives in a place of constant screens, you still get to choose as a parent. Like, right?
No, I completely agree. And I think that what you're doing is correct. And I think that that's absolutely right. The thing that I think I completely agree that that's correct.
So we aren't agreeing to disagree?
No, I just think that the thing that I'm like more focused on is that like, not that it's inevitable, but more that like,
that's how the world is.
Yeah, like I fully am in support of a child's like innocence is important, and it's what I feel like it's one of the most important things to do is to make sure that children can maintain that innocence.
Yeah,
I think that, and you're doing a great job of doing that with Way.
Oh, stop.
I just think that we have broader societal issues that prevent that for a large once she goes to school, It's unfortunate, but once she goes to school, you won't be able to protect her from the inevitable anxiety that she'll have unless something changes about a school shooting. Like, totally. Like that there are inevitabilities in our society right now that cause an anxiety or a concern, or not an anxiety or concern, but more of a loss of that innocence for a kid. Yeah. That they aren't ready for, and that they shouldn't feel for yet.
Yeah.
So I think that it's important. I think it's definitely important to what you're doing and making sure that she maintains that innocence. We just live in a different world. Yeah, what depresses me is that it's sad, but it's inevitable that something out of your control, isn't that existing? It's not in your control.
But isn't that crazy? Like, that's what you have to accept.
Absolutely.
Is like,
and I think that's the thing that's tough, is that you have to survive and to keep moving forward, you have to accept inevitabilities about you can fight against them, and you can and do your best to make change in society and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But there is a level of you that has to accept that the world that we live in right now has these issues. Yeah. And your child will be confronted with those issues. Yeah. And what your responsibility is like helping her be able to navigate and deal with those issues. Right. So keeping her maintaining her innocence right now when she's so young, and in no world should she be confronted with these issues. Yeah. Is the exact right thing to do. Right. I think keeping her off those screens so that she's not looking at whatever, too much stimulus that's not brain rotting her brain, and negative things don't pop up that she doesn't know how to unpack yet, whether it be violence or war or anything like that, is definitely important. But I think it's so tough that at some point you will inevitably have to have a hard conversation with her that the world that you want for her isn't the one that is in reality right now. And we can work to make that happen. Yeah. But right now, there are some things that you'll have to, I hate saying be okay with, because you don't have to be okay with negative things, but
I just
you
think
have to accept
in general
right
what
now.
We experience as humans is like, all goes back to, we shouldn't necessarily live in a way that we see what everyone else is doing.
Oh, absolutely.
So it always goes back to we should live in smaller communities and like exist in our like realm and like not have this overwhelming feeling of like constant stimulus of like the millions of people and what they're doing and comparing ourselves. Like it always goes back to the reality that we live in of too much, too many, like overconsumption of the world and what people are doing. Like we're just consuming people's lives in like an unhealthy way. And like it always goes back to that. And like we're doing it as adults, like they're going to experience it as kids. And, you know, again, like going back to what we said too, is like, you can't save your kid from the reality of like a hard experience.
Yeah.
You teach your kid to handle the hard experience. However that is, like, I don't have the answer. Like we'll see when we get there.
Right.
But it's just more of like, you know, understanding the reality of like, if you can live your life as far away from technology and like be in the world and exist with your humans and like find your group of people and be lucky that those are the ones that come into your life. Like if you get that experience, like stay on earth, like don't go to the snip, stay with your friends, like be in the moment, be present, exist in this time. Like don't look forward, don't look back, just be. And I think the minute that we go into the broader world, the bigger world, that's when we start like looking back, looking forward, looking to this, seeing what we could be doing. And it's like, you know, what you hope to teach is presence.
Yeah.
Like, try to be here.
Yeah. And I think that's tough because it's one of those things where it's like you want to live in the present and stuff like that. But at the same time, like you want to make sure that she's not like, I agree that the technology has wired us in a way that's not natural to people. Like I'm
to humans.
Yeah, to
well, that's
human
not
beings.
What we're used to.
Like our brains aren't created to like be on as online as cell phones as current cell phones allow us to be. So, but it's one of those things where it's like at the same time we can't stop that. Like we can take strides to prevent ourselves from being too connected and too focused on it and addicted to the phone and stuff like that. But unless you take the step of like removing yourself from society in that way, like I know, like the phone is there and like internet's that way and like like that's just like it's what again one of those things where it's like fuck, like I don't want this and it's not the right thing, but this is how we have to maintain
But don't you
things.
feel like every generation has a choice, right? Whether it's like destiny, it's like, you know, we have a choice to raise our kids offline.
Oh, for sure.
You know, like what's each parent's choice? Like,
absolutely.
Not that she'll always stay away from technology, but like, you know, she's going to copy what I do. What's my choice?
Yeah, yeah.
So like what's each parent's choice with their kids? Like,
but she may also divert also. She may when she gets old enough, she may she's going
to rebel so hard and just be an influencer.
Yeah.
You know,
that would be
that's
wild.
Gonna be her path.
That would be wild.
You know, and honestly, I support her.
That's good. Whatever she does, I know you'll be supportive of. But I think it's the right thing to do.
It's just like a constant thing about, you know, New Year's. And so we're gonna go to the bonus.
Yeah, we're gonna go to the bonus, and we didn't get to I think anything that we put on the topic.
No,
list.
I'm not even sure where we started and where we ended.
Yeah,
and like I'm not even sure what year we're in.
Yeah,
because we're in limbo right now.
Exactly.
So I'll see you in 2025.
Yeah.
Which is our bonus. We're going to this is the New Year's Eve right now. We're ending this episode in 2024. The bonus is 2025.
Yeah.
Join us in the new year.
Absolutely.
We're going to do things that we talked about there.
Yeah, let's take some listener questions in the bono.
Yeah. Let's chit chat about what you guys are going through. Because what we're going through is an existential crisis of like where we are and what we're doing.
Yeah.
And like help us.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe we'll have tater tots there.
What's crazy is that, I mean, I will definitely have tater tots because I'm going to finish one. But what's crazy is just how clearly Interstellar has made its mark on you.
It has made its mark.
It's
made its mark on the podcast, and we've become a very movie-heavy
Very,
podcast.
Very. We're happy to get off the topic of movies because I know maybe not everybody wants to, but like also at the same time, let's keep talking about movies. So when I said we're happy about it, like, not happy about it.
Okay, so see you in 2025.
Happy New Year. Love you. Bye.